Are you looking for one of those unicorn properties? You know, 2 houses, 1 lot, perfectly flat, 5 acres, owned, solar, and a pool? Well, welcome to 2880 Carlson Drive in Shingle Springs. Welcome to this rare estate featuring 2 homes and owned solar on 5 flat acres in the heart of Shingle Springs. As you arrive, you will fall in love with the mature trees sprinkled throughout the property. Step inside and admire the light and bright living room with incredible windows where the light just pours in. Such a great place to hang out and read a book. The kitchen is a dream featuring stainless steel appliances, gorgeous countertops, and a large window above your sink, overlooking all your acreage and pool. With a whole house fan, propane backup generators, and a new roof, the home provides peace of mind. The home's deck offers a perfect place to enjoy your beautiful property, enjoy the silence, or just watch over your children or animals. Head outside to the custom sports pool and spa, accompanied by a large concrete patio. You will love the fenced garden, little cottage, professional basketball court with LED lights, disc golf course, and so much more. Head over to the second home featuring its own electric gate with separate entrance. Inside, you will find a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and approximately 1,200 square feet. All of this is just 10 minutes from groceries, restaurants, and 6 minutes from Highway 50. Welcome home. What makes this property special and unique is the fact that the second home feels a mile away. In fact, it has its own private entrance and its own separate gated driveway. So what do you need to know before buying country property? Well, you always want to ask a couple of questions. For me, because I love to garden, is what is the water supply like? Am I on public water? Am I on a well? And if I'm on a well, how many gallons per minute of water will I have? If something is below 5 gallons per minute, you might want to take a minute and do some more research. Is it possible to drill a second well? How far away is public water? Because you certainly don't want to have acreage if you don't have the ability to water it all or to be able to meet your basic needs. Another question to ask is about the septic system. Most country properties have a septic system, and don't be afraid of it. I live with a country property with a septic system myself. Some things to ask are the lids exposed? Who's paying for an inspection? Inspections can be pricey, anywhere from $450 to $700 to have it inspected, and then pumping about $400 or more to have the system pumped. There is a document in the California Residential Purchase Agreement. It's called an SWPI. Make sure that when submitting an offer, your agent is completing an SWPI. This form tells the seller what you expect. Who is doing what inspection? Are you asking the seller to pay for a septic inspection, or are you going to take care of that yourself? Now, if you're taking care of the septic inspection yourself because you're in an aggressive market and you want to say, hey, look, we're easy peasy, we're going to pay for this report, well, you might want to make sure that you know where the lids are and if those lids are buried. I once had a rural property where the septic system and the lids, they were unknown. The seller had been there for 15 years and he had never had the system pumped. Well, we were trying to win in a multiple offer situation, and so we had to hire a company to come out and drop a tablet to locate where that system was and where the lids were. Well, after we found them, we learned that they were buried under hard concrete landscaping. To be able to inspect that, we had to dig it up. That became very, very costly. You can also see if a property has raised risers. And if you are moving forward and purchasing a home and the lids are buried under the ground, you might want to instantly upgrade and pay that extra fee to have those risers put on so that when you move in later, it's really easy for you to remove those and have that system accessed. Whether the property is rural or not, if it has a pool, make sure you do an inspection. A pool inspection should be done on every property. A lot of times the sellers will do all the inspections up front for you, and we love that. Just make sure that a qualified person has inspected all of the equipment. You don't want to move in and find out that you've got some leaky things that need to be fixed. When buying rural properties, you always want to see if the outbuildings have been permitted. Sometimes it's super simple. You just ask your home inspector, hey, do you pull permits when you do inspections? Most of them are taking the time to pull permits to see what's available. In this particular case, this adorable cottage is 2 rooms and it was a converted well house. So while the structure was permitted for a well house, it wasn't necessarily permitted for an office space. We see this a lot in country properties, especially barns, sheds, things of that nature. If you have a shed and it has water and electrical, a lot of times people will just build them as storage and then add those things later. So if you have something and it burns down, if it was unpermitted, it's possible that your insurance company might not cover it. So please do your due diligence if you see outbuildings. One thing to also consider when buying rural property is to see if the property has ever been surveyed. Where the fence is does not mean that's the property line. Sometimes, especially if homes are older and they've been renovated, property lines were just suggestions back then, and we don't always see the markers. You as the buyer have a right to do a survey, but requesting the seller do a survey in this market when it is definitely either a neutral or a seller's market, it's probably not going to happen. So you can ask if one has ever been done. You can look at the property lines and you can see if that's something that you'd like to invest in. But buyer beware, if a neighbor moves in and all of a sudden they do a survey and your fence is 10 feet over on their property, they're going to ask you to move it. So it is really important that you take this into consideration when buying country property. Another thing to consider when buying rural property is, are you in an HOA? Now, we do have some rural properties that have HOA, and you'll see which ones those are. Usually they're gated and everything's manicured. Sometimes they share a round pen or a barn or riding trails, but they might not allow you to have every single kind of animal you want. For example, maybe you can't have pigs or maybe you can't have cows. So it's really important to request a copy of those CC&Rs and the HOA document so that you can understand if you can do what you want on your property. Now, if you're truly rural and there's none, you can have whatever animals you want and you're welcome to enjoy them. At the end of the day, I decided to purchase 10 acres of gorgeous country, rural-ish, we're still in El Dorado Hills, property, but it was the best decision I had made for my family. In fact, during COVID, when the rest of the world was feeling like they were in a tin can, we were liberated and free with lots of room to run and play, to enjoy our animals and our garden. So if you're thinking of buying a country property, you've always dreamed of a little plot of land, I highly encourage you to chase that dream. And just make sure that your agent has helped buyers buy rural property before and they know what they're doing. And if you don't have an agent, hey, my name is Kelli Griggs and I know rural property and I would love to help you. My contact information is going to be below. Thanks for watching.